Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Got a lot of good things to share and talk with you about this morning. First off, a little housekeeping. I have monetized my videos, and that's part of the reason why I guess many of you are on board now, because YouTube doesn't really put the videos out until they can make money off of it. So for all of those who put up with the commercials and stuff, the ads that are placed on there, thank you very much, because even though it's only averaging $1.75 a day, I think it is, it's right now I think I'm up to about $100 a month if I can ever seem to get paid for it. That's another issue, but maybe at some point in time I will. The point is, thank you for doing it, putting up with those. Second thing is, this video, I'm going to title it a little different than my series, because I'm going to get into some other topics, but in order to get some of you to understand, or for those of you who click on it, the videos, you do it based on what you see in the title, and there's some other things we're going to talk about today. This might actually be a kind of a long video, but in my series of the 3 things that cannot exist, there are some concepts that I'm trying to relay and get across based on my gut feelings and my interactions that have yes, oh my goodness, meow. Would you get my hat? It's bright out here. Hey, you gotta see, shadow's gotta always be a part of this. Always be a part of this. Go catch you a grasshopper. She just ate a big fat mouse. Staying on this same concept of how do we set up our society in such a way that we are truly free. So T and I went to see a movie last night. We went to see The Circle, and it's got Tom Hanks and Emma Watson in it, and I like a lot of what Tom Hanks does. He's, some very good movies that I've seen him in. But generally speaking, T and I don't go to movies very much. The reason being is both of us seem to feel that that movies don't have the quality that they used to have 20 plus years ago. It's kind of like they just keep remaking the same thing over and over again. However, as many of you are aware, the film industry is the mouthpiece of the elite, that they from time to time show and tell us stuff to integrate us into where they want us in some forms of fashion. That's why we went to see this movie, The Circle. Very, very interesting, powerful, scary kind of things going on here in this movie, and I want to get into that because it really dawned on me when we were watching this movie last night that this is just it. It is about what I'm looking for, but it's them trying to present it in what they want it to be. Here you go. Thanks. It's a little bit of a twist at the end. So, just briefly, May, the main character here, which is she comes into this Silicon Valley company called The Circle. It's a social media platform, and in this platform, it's funny how it's all this kind of stuff is coming in. With me just starting up this Steam It page, trying to figure that out. The social media is all new to human society. It's a wholly different approach to how we interact, and in some ways, I think it has the ability to liberate us in a free way, in ways that could never have been done before, based on the power that it has to communicate and relay information. So she comes there, and at first you get this, especially with the trailers that I saw, and then what intrigued me to go see it was the notion of this all-encompassing, all-seeing system that we're living in. I mean, everything on the internet's already recorded. We know this. The NSA does it, but she comes into it because she's looking for an opportunity to be something more than what she was, as just a call center person for help. Not that she doesn't do that at the Circle, but when she's in there, all of a sudden she sees this. She comes into this world that is like, it just kind of wraps around her like an all-encompassing blanket, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, "Hey, we've been watching you on here, and we've been seeing what's going on with this part of your life." And you seem to think that she's starting to get, uncomfortable with that, and she is. She's trying to deal with it, and it's stressful for her, and it creates an event within the movie where, in order to maybe get her head straight, figure out what's going on, she takes off on her own, steals a kayak, because that's one of her ways of grounding and getting into peace. She steals this kayak and rows out into the middle of the bay. It's at night. She doesn't have a life vest on, and a boat comes through the fog, hits her, knocks her over, and the only thing that saves her is this notion that, or not notion, but one of the buoys that she rode past sees her in it because they've got one of the cameras. This media site is it puts forth what I believe are some truly good aspects for humanity to strive for, and I'll get into that in a second. But what happens is she gets turned over, and within minutes there's a rescue helicopter, and it comes in. So it changes her mind frame into, oh, this thing really is a good thing, otherwise I'd be dead. So she dives into it, and her and Tom Hanks, which is the main, I can't remember his name, but he's the Bill Gates Rothschild mentality. I mean, Tom Hanks, I've never really seen him in evil guy or bad guy kind of roles. This one, he kind of does a really interesting twist on this. That's definitely a good play for him. So he and she, or he uses her experience to push forward this corporate control, and they start to roll through this with senators and or this one senator that's in California, and how their notion is this all-seeing eye around you is a good thing because it keeps there from being secrets. Now here's the real point of the conversation. as the notion of privacy, because they go all over the subject of privacy, and so Emma Watson or May says, okay, this thing of privacy isn't going to work because bad things happen and people do bad things. Yeah, but that's the entire nature of humanity, and we need to do bad things. We need to be able to have the option to make a bad decision. We need the freedom to fuck up. We need to be free enough so that we can fuck up, and then we need to be able to deal with those consequences, because otherwise we don't learn like we should. So communities have different ways of handling this whole scenario of how do we interact and what's the level of openness and trust versus the level of privacy and security and selfishness. And they really do a good job of throwing that whole conversation into the sausage factory and screwing up your thoughts on it, because I have to be honest with some of the things they were saying. Hey, we want this. We want openness and integrity and honesty in our community, and this is something I've been striving for within my community, because I guess one of the problems I've had is, and I'm sharing my personal journey here on this, is that I have a hard time when I don't see the integrity, the openness and honesty, especially when I know facts about a person or a situation because they have been honest, and then they turn around and they come back and they try to lie about it or change the story to suit what they need at the moment to manipulate things. So you see this battle kind of go through in the video, and at first, there's a few things that get said about, hey, we all want this, and everybody wants this because it is a part of our human nature and the way we are to connect with each other. So Clif High just did a video, an interview with Sarah Westall. You can go look her up, or you can do a search for Clif High with the time frame of within the last week. I think it was like 3 days ago that she posted the second half of it. This is incredible. He did a succinct job of outlaying what I'm seeing in how humans want to live in a society. He talks about tribal society. So in the movie with May and the circle, they have this society, and this society is this all based on this monitoring platform. Well, I'm not going to ruin the whole movie because it's good, and I want to leave you with the really interesting twist ending to this. Not to give you the details, but basically, several events happen within the movie that go to show you how swings and fists. You hear me in many of my videos saying swings and fists. You should have the freedom to swing your fist so long as it doesn't hit my nose. Unfortunately, because of this desire by the company to program the people in this community that everybody watching everybody is what makes it a safe, secure place, and that's why we all love and care for each other. We're all watching everybody and such. What happens is those people, and they get into this topic in the movie, the people who don't want to be a part of it they get their noses hit. And one of May's friends or buddies growing up becomes the target of an attack from this system, and it ends up killing him. This causes May to reflect on it in figuring it out that that the system in itself is not truly equal, in as much as the top people don't have to abide by the rules that they're trying to impose upon everybody. Thus, in the end, it's really cool how she does this to kind of flip it around and work within the system of this platform. Okay, well, if you want to dictate this, then you got to live by your own rules. Something we don't have in our community or society right now. The more important thing is, and go listen to Clif High's interview with Sarah Westall as to what he explains how humans are tribal and how that manifests in how big a group we can be, and how this just clicked with me in what I've been seeing as far as how our world needs to exist as far as a social structure, in as much as going back to the postman type of scenario. Small communities, and as he stated, I think he said in an interview with Sarah, at most 145 people in a specific community, because once you get past that, there's always a controlled issue that somebody wants, that there's this structure that it starts to form, or is forced to form, with the pyramid power thing. We have that same issue, on a global scale right now. The problem is, how do we find a way to retain our freedom, yet not get caught up in this power thing? There were a lot of interesting concepts that I would love to engage with some of you very directly. And let's think about it. Let's think about it from this perspective. What I saw there left me wanting some of what was supposedly there. It was like, I really like the what seemed like the closeness and caring. However, at the same time, it also left me wanting something that they didn't have, and that seemed to be depth. On this social platform that we put ourselves on, whether it's Facebook or Steemit or YouTube or whatever, it is a superficial, and I think that's the biggest problem that I'm having with the whole situation. What I really want, I haven't succeeded at. What I am succeeding at, partially here on YouTube by connecting with you in small ways, is like a taste of it, but it's not the real thing. And let me break it down straight to this, the core of the issue. Real depth in relationships, real depth in knowing somebody, doesn't come from seeing a set of texts posted on a comment or a video. Because here's the thing, I put myself out there, and those of you who also have channels that I want to say have a reasonable subscribership, understand that the subscribers, you guys, you get to know me really good based on what I'm sharing with you. Now, of course, I only share that which I feel comfortable with, because I don't know you enough to feel comfortable with that. It is superficial. So this movie did a really good job of pulling out the issues from what I see as far as a social structure is concerned. And again, when I watched that video this morning with Clif High, it also brings out the nature of us as humans as to what that social structure really wants to be and where we're not there. So here I am trying to figure this thing out. I've asked you to come along with me for these conversations as to what kinds of things are we screwing up in that's preventing us from finding this social structure, or to give us what it would be the most beneficial relationships that we can be in. What things are working, what things aren't. And the structures, the mental, psychological, emotional structures that we have that support that in a healthy way. And there, I think these it's there. In that movie is the answer to this. The question is, can we sort it out? The question is, can we sort it out? God, I mean, I'm sorry, my mind is like a million miles an hour here. On so many thoughts, it's hard to tie in and focus on one, because there's just so much that seems to be coming together clarity-wise for me. But again, my issue is the superficialness of this social media platform that we're on is an incredible tool. I believe closely with some of the things that were said in this movie, such as information should be free. But not to the point and extent that they're showing here in this movie. In the movie, it was the assertion that that's why you had to enforce this upon the entire population. They went through this whole discussion of we need to make it mandatory for every country in the world to be on this platform. Everybody is on this platform. Then we have true democracy. Of course, democracy is not something that's a good thing, but we've been programmed. That's what the people think, that we need a democracy, and that's what makes America great. We don't want democracy. Democracy is mob rule, and we don't. And this notion that this forced situation would be the best is not freedom. That is the utmost in control and slavery. So it's not going to work that way. The way that they were kind of presenting. And what Emma was being challenged with was, what is, I guess, those boundaries? What boundaries do we set for ourselves? And the presentation, like I said, I'm not going to ruin it for you for the end of the movie, but the presentation of what her solution was, I think, is what the elite want to make it seem like should be, and why we should stay in the system. Shadow going after the grasshoppers. Well, this is a deep amount of thought, and if you can go through the two of these presentations and see what I'm talking about, you'll understand why I'm going, yeah, no, yeah, but not this way, and it's it is exactly in a lot of ways, what I have been trying to get across in this series that I'm doing. So, wow, lot said, a lot, way too many topics, way too many pieces in this puzzle. This is just a big picture of something that you almost can't put into words. You just feel it. You feel that, you know, this kind of thing is good, but no, this isn't. Or it works. It's your alignment with those expressions that make sense or don't make sense. It's a journey. We have to have contrast. We must have some form of contrast. And in the end, this circle society that they were trying to create and then force the world on is not survivable. It is not sustainable, because in the end it turns us all into the Matrix, into a bunch of programmed machines where expression of individuality cannot exist. I mean, I'll give you an example. In the movie, there was a contradictory event that took place on the side, which just really was easily the defining moment for why what they were trying to present can't work, because there is no thought processes. You go into Sarah's video, and in the beginning, he's chastising her a little bit for sending her kids to college because that's stifling, and he lays out the best way I could do it, argument for why colleges are nothing but programming machines for the general population. And the point is, it was expressed in this incident within the movie as so May's friend, who ends up dying, does these wonderful antler antler chandeliers, and so May, innocently, in her newness to this circle, says, "Hey, post a picture of what my friend does." Well, they turned on him. And what I mean by that is the rest of the circle had this real liberal approach of, "You're a deer killer," and apparently they just, because they're all internet savvy and social media savvy, and even though he doesn't want to exist on the social media and the internet, his email got slammed with hate mail and threats. He even states within there that he received death threats via the emails. They want to pile on. This community, want to pile on to this kid, and the one scenes where they're in their theater, and it's kind of like the TED Talk theater. You'll understand when you see it. And they're all going, "Go get him, because he's a deer killer." And I'm thinking to myself, they don't even know what he's actually doing, and it is just their opinion as to what's going on. The kid doesn't even go hunting; he's just putting the antlers together. But they're a mob attack on this kid, and in the end, because of that, he ends up dying. But where was their accountability to these people within the circle for the death threats and the harassment that they gave out? So it's a two-sided thing, and like I said, there's this sense of connection that you're supposedly deriving from it, but in the end, it's just as isolated in its way of thinking, such as such as one of the comments on my last video here, 001 Katie, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, basically was saying that exact same thing. We've got to have the freedom to express ourselves, and it is not anything but weakness when you do not have diversity. Problem is, we've got communities that are so divided within our own communities. How narrow-minded our thinking is within, say, even within this circle. Yeah, all these wonderful things that take care of each other, and like I said, you got to see the movie. But in the end, it is very, very isolated in its way of thinking. It's not very accepting. We accept one person for this, but not this person for that, and that's even an issue within the awake community that I've seen. Not to name names, but one of the people who follow the markets that I follow, he's got some very good things to say about money and the markets and the Federal Reserve and the monetary system. I mean, really, really great things about that. But when I friended him up on Facebook, Facebook was nothing but a puke fest against the GLBT community. Yet he ended up going to the Liberty Mastermind Symposium some years ago, and I'm thinking to myself, where is your respect for liberty if you will not allow what's her name, Caitlin Jennings, to express herself? Now, I'm going to tell you, it is not, in my opinion, the place to puke it in the way the mainstream media and the social media made a mockery of what she was exploring. To me, was stupid. But that doesn't mean that you should be bashing this individual from expressing themselves. So there is not a true yet equal understanding that I'm seeing within any group that's out here and going, you know what? What are you doing to provide a positive influence? And do you have the freedom to truly try things out and express yourself to see whether it is a successful recipe or not? These two things, these two presentations, the movie, and then I guess, like I said, with leaving Clif High and his expression of how community works or wants to work, kind of it seems like it's tying together a lot of things that I've expressed with you in this series, and that's where we're going. This has probably gotten pretty long, but we're getting there. We got to figure this out, folks. We really got to figure this thing out, because the contrast that is here is the most challenging that it's probably been in all of human history. We either figure out how to live and work with each other in a way that doesn't do harm, not take away a person's right to harm themselves. That's their choice. But do it in such a way that the freedom and information there for a person to have a positive journey and to be supported by their community is available without restriction, so that we can explore what we don't know. May made a statement in the movie about it should be a human right to have free access to all information. She made that statement, and I'm not sure I agree with that. I think it should be an uninhibited exploration. But rights are a tough one. Rights are a real tough one. I should have the right to have my privacy. I should have the right not to have you looking up my ass. I should have the right to get away. One of the things I think we're finding here is, and we're going to probably find, is that boundary as time goes on, as to how can we live together and truly be in community. Because I mean honestly, some of the things that you guys have said here on these videos are amazing. Problem is, I don't know you, and all I've got is one comment here, and from some of you, some pretty good shared thoughts. But in total, a lot of you, I don't even see your faces. I mean, what I want for a community is, I want you to come over here and help me plant some carrots. And then when we get done, we're going to go